Ruslan.
What does Jordan Peterson, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and William Lane Craig have in common? Well, apparently it's their views on atheism. Watch till the end of this video and let me see if I could prove that point to you. If you guys don't know who Jordan Peterson is, he is a psychologist who got into some hot water a couple years ago at his university for not using the specific demanded pronouns. And then that kind of catapulted his lectures and eventually him as an author to international prominence. He's currently with the Daily Wire. He does commentary on things like books of the Bible and trying to tie them into psychological motifs and all that kind of good stuff. William Lane Craig is arguably the most brilliant apologist of our era. And so when I stumbled across Dr. Craig's YouTube channel and this video, I was like, this is great. I would love to react to it, add my 2 cents, and tie it into something that I actually heard agnostic scientist Neil deGrasse Tyson say that kind of glues this entire topic together. So make sure you watch till the end of this video. But first, please smash that like button. It really does help us out. If we can get this video to at least 2,000 likes, that would really mean the world to me. Let's jump into this clip right here. William Lane Craig reacts to Jordan Peterson on people driven to atheism by Church Hurt. Take a listen.
I read a lot of comments from atheists in my YouTube comment sections on my biblical lectures. I probably read at least hundreds of them and maybe thousands of them, but at least hundreds. And one of the things that has struck...
First of all, shout out to someone like Jordan Peterson still out here reading comments. Okay, that shows that he is very disciplined and also has a callous mind where he doesn't allow, I'm sure, the plethora of negative comments to impact him.
Struck me continually is that many of the people who become atheists are reactionary. And I don't mean that in a denigrating sense. A huge proportion of people who are stridently atheistic were hurt very badly by people who purported to be religious when they were young. And I think that also applies to Dawkins, by the way.
Okay, so there's a lot of claims here. Now, some may say that Jordan Peterson is using hasty generalizations, and that's the fallacy that's being exhibited. I don't know if there's a way to quantify that on an empirical level. What percentage of people who profess to be atheists have experienced church hurt? I can only speak for my personal anecdotal experience, and he is speaking for his personal anecdotal experience, is that in my experience, when I experienced SA by older folks in the church, that it absolutely was the reason that correlated to me having a hostility towards God from a place of hurt and resentment, thinking that God didn't really love me if he allowed something bad to happen to me, okay? Now, listen to what William Lane Craig says here in a second.
I've seen some...
Oh, and he, by the way, it's kind of interesting that he ties that into Dawkins.
Some evidence for that in his public utterances. And so you have people who've been terribly betrayed by the agents of what was supposed to be the best. And so they carry that utter bitterness with them, that ultimate betrayal. Because I think there isn't anything worse in some sense than being betrayed by people who claim to be acting, let's say, in Christ's name.
Now, this is a good point. Few things feel and sting and hurt as much as a betrayal by someone that you viewed as a spiritual influence or a spiritual authority to your life. Okay, so Jordan Peterson, I think, is right on the money with regards to his perspective on this.
I mean, how could anything be worse than that?
Yep.
And so then they're driven to this atheism, and they're so afraid then again to reestablish a new faith because they've been hurt so badly that they're willing to suffer this purgatorial drought of vision rather than to put themselves up on the chopping block one more time.
Here's Dr. William Lane Craig's response to this.
Having this come from a professional psychologist is so impressive because it really does confirm, I think, the impression of all of us, of these internet atheists. They're
shots fired. Internet atheists.
You guys think I'm stupid? I'm not stupid, guys. I know this.
Shots fired.
Bitterness, the anger, the emotional tirades that come from them show that this is not a matter of a dispassionate intellectual quest, even though they love to pose in that way.
And I see this as a pattern with folks who have also deconverted or deconstructed, is it's often posed as something novel and theological, just the inverse, or it's super intellectual or super deep. And when you kind of pull away to the layers, it often comes down to some hurt. Not always. Again, you can't do a mass study and try to prove this empirically at this point yet, but there does seem to be some sort of correlation, if not causation here.
This is an emotionally driven reaction, and many of them, I think Peterson's quite right, have had negative experiences in the church as children or teenagers and are now in.
Or just told that something that they have a proclivity towards and want to do is not within the confines of how God designed them. You know what I'm talking about.
Severe rebellion to it. And it's really tragic. But of course, you see, here's the thing. If you say to people, well, the reason I reject Christianity is emotional because I've been hurt, or I've been wounded, that doesn't make you look good. But if you have intellectual objections to Christianity, if you can pose as the dispassionate, academic, careful inquirer who's so rational, rationality rules, then you earn self-respect and credibility in the eyes of your audience. And so I think there's an awful lot of posturing going on that is betrayed by the emotional undertone that Jordan Peterson so accurately depicts.
Pretty interesting take. Now, of course, you're going to have folks who are atheists say, no, the Christians are the ones who are the emotional ones. You believe in fairy tales, yada, yada, yada. Well, interesting you bring up that point, because I brought along someone that you guys also tried to claim, who more or less seems to echo this point in a rather unexpected use of language. Listen to what Neil deGrasse Tyson says on the question on if he is an atheist or an agnostic. This is fascinating. Check this out.
Atheists I know who proudly wear the badge are active atheists. They're like in your face atheists, and they want to change policies, and they're having debates. I don't have the time, the interest, the energy to do any of that. I'm a scientist. I'm an educator. My goal is to get people thinking straight in the first place. Just get you to be curious about the natural world.
So that's why he doesn't identify with the label of atheist. Now, listen to what he says next.
That's what I'm about. I'm not about any of the rest of this. And it's odd that the word atheist even exists.
It's odd that the word atheist even exists, he says.
I don't play golf. Is there a word for non-golf players?
I don't think so.
Do non-golf players gather and strategize?
I don't think so.
Do non-skiers have a word and come together and talk about the fact that they don't ski?
Keep going.
I can't do that. I can't gather around and talk about how much everybody in the room doesn't believe in God. I don't have the energy for that.
Shout out to Neil deGrasse Tyson, man. Probably the most, in my opinion, reasonable agnostic atheist, because he's saying, hey, this isn't even a term that should even exist. If you don't believe in something, why in the world are you spending all this time trying to convince everyone else how the thing you don't believe in is not real? That makes no sense. This is, of course, why William Lane Craig is an apologist for the faith. If you understand what the word apologist or apologetics means, it means the defense for the faith. Folks aren't necessarily going out and trying to start fights and pick fights with people. It's oftentimes people that are coming against Christianity, and people are responding back to some of these goofy claims that you see made across the board. So, what are your thoughts on this? Do you see the weave of thought connected between Jordan Peterson, William Lane Craig echoing that, wow, this is impressive coming from a psychologist, and Neil deGrasse Tyson, who says, why is this even a thing? If you don't believe in something, why is this even a thing? Right? I think that's a W take from all three. Let me know what you think about that in the comments section. If you guys want to see a different video where I reacted to something that William Lane Craig recently covered, we'll have this over here, as well as a video with Jordan Peterson sharing more about his faith. And if you want to go the extra mile, consider partnering with us on our online community for as little as $5 a month. You get unedited extended after party streams of our daily streams, exclusive access to our podcast before they go public, exclusive Discord access, discount to our merch store, and so much more. Consider partnering with us. It would really mean the world to me and help us continue making Christian content that engages culture and contextualizes. I will see you over there, all right? Peace.